In life, storms don't always come from the sky. Sometimes they rise quietly from within us, from the places we hide our anger, our fears, and our doubts. These invisible tempests shake our hearts far more than thunder ever could. They blur our thoughts like muddy water, leaving us unable to see the truth that lies beneath. But those who learn to calm their inner storms discover a power that can move mountains. For when the mind is still, even the world seems to bow before it. This is the story of a young monk who discovered that true strength does not come from fighting the world, but from mastering his own mind. Long ago, in a small Zen monastery nestled deep among mist-covered mountains, there lived a young monk named Ryota. The monastery was simple, a cluster of wooden huts surrounded by tall pine trees and the soft murmur of a nearby river. Every morning, the air smelled of wet stone and incense. The monks rose before dawn, praying and meditating as the first light touched the temple roof. Ryota was known for his kindness and discipline. He was devoted to his duties, quick to help others, and eager to learn from his elders. Yet deep inside, his heart was restless. Whenever something went wrong, even something small, anger would rise within him like a spark igniting dry grass. If someone spoke harshly to him, he answered with sharp words. If the rain interrupted his meditation, he blamed the sky. When things didn't go his way, his mind became a battlefield. He wanted peace desperately, but peace always seemed to slip through his fingers like water. One evening, after losing his temper yet again over a broken bowl, Ryota felt ashamed. The sunset was fading behind the mountains, casting long golden shadows across the monastery courtyard. His heart pounded as he walked to his master's chamber. The old monk, Sensei Kito, was sitting quietly beside a single oil lamp, his eyes half closed in meditation. Ryota bowed deeply and spoke, his voice trembling. "Master," he said, "I meditate every morning. I work hard. I pray every day. And yet I cannot control my mind. It runs wild like a horse that refuses the reins. Why does it rule me so easily? Why can I not find peace?" Sensei Kito opened his eyes slowly and smiled, a calm, knowing smile. "Tomorrow," he said softly, "meet me at the riverside before sunrise." The next morning, when the world was still gray and silent, Ryota walked to the river. Mist curled above the surface like smoke. The cold wind bit at his skin. There, beside the flowing water, stood the old master, serene as ever. Without a word, Kito held out a small cup filled with clear water from the river. "Look at this water, my son," said the master. Ryota obeyed, gazing at his reflection trembling on the surface. "Now," Kito said gently, "shake it." Ryota hesitated but did as he was told. The water rippled, and the sand at the bottom rose, turning it cloudy and dark. Kito asked, "Can you see your reflection clearly now?" Ryota shook his head. "No, master." The old monk nodded. "Then wait." Time passed in silence. Only the sound of the river filled the air. Slowly, the sand began to sink again. The water cleared and Ryota could once more see his reflection, calm, unbroken, whole. Kito spoke quietly, his voice blending with the murmur of the river. "Your mind is like this water, Ryota. When it is shaken by anger, fear, or doubt, it becomes cloudy. You cannot see truth when you are disturbed inside. But if you let it rest, if you simply wait, it will clear on its own. Peace will return when you stop trying to force it." Ryota stared into the cup, feeling the words sink deep into his heart. For the first time, he truly understood what his master had been teaching him all along. He bowed his head. "Thank you, master," he whispered. Days passed, and Ryota began to notice the storms within himself. Each time anger stirred, he remembered the cup of water. Instead of reacting, he breathed. Instead of shouting, he waited. The change did not come overnight. Some days he failed. Some days he succeeded. But slowly, something began to shift inside him. One morning, during prayers in the temple hall, another monk insulted Ryota for arriving late. The old Ryota would have shouted in return, but this time he simply looked down and took a deep breath. He could feel the fire rising within him, but he let it burn quietly and fade. He imagined the muddy water settling once again, becoming clear and still. The insult passed like a gust of wind through bamboo, bending him for a moment, but never breaking him. When he looked up, he felt lighter. Something that had chained him for years had loosened. For the first time, he tasted the freedom that comes from silence. Weeks turned into months. Ryota's heart grew calmer, his steps slower, his smile softer. The other monks began to notice. His presence itself seemed to bring peace. One day, as the sun was setting, Ryota sat alone by the same river where his master had once taught him. The water glowed golden under the evening light. He saw his reflection, clear, calm, and peaceful. The breeze touched his face, and the world around him felt perfectly still. He whispered to himself, "The world outside me is not my enemy." It never was. It is my mind that I must master. From that day on, Ryota became one of the most peaceful monks in the temple, not because the world had changed, but because he had. Years later, when Ryota had grown old and wise, new students came to the monastery. They too struggled with their tempers, their doubts, and their fears. Whenever they came to him for guidance, he would take them to the same river and tell them the same lesson his master had once taught him. "Look at this water," he would say, smiling gently. "When it is stirred, it becomes cloudy. But if you wait, it clears. The same is true of your heart. You cannot calm the storm by shouting at the sky. You calm it by calming yourself first." The students would listen in silence, and in their hearts, they too began to understand that peace is not something to be chased. It is something to be remembered. And so, in the quiet monastery among the mountains, where the wind whispered through the pines and the river never stopped flowing, the wisdom of Sensei Kito lived on through Ryota, a reminder that even in the wildest storm, calmness is within reach for those who learn to master their own minds.